Josh Sargent earned his first Bundesliga start whilst John Brooks and Fabian Johnson went head-to-head with US coach Greg Berhalter in attendance. We will tell you how they did next on Americana Abroad. Yes, hello, welcome back to The Beer Cellar. I'm Kate Abdo alongside Ian Joy and Alexi Lalas. We are recording this on Sunday, so we don't have any Tyler Adams highlights to show you from Monday's Leipzig game. But another young American turning heads is Josh Sargent. He got his first start for Werder Bremen on Friday, just a couple of days after celebrating his 19th birthday. Alexi, what do you make of his performance?
I thought it was acceptable. I thought that this is certainly a work in progress. But it was nice to see him get a start. I think when you actually look at the way Josh Sargent plays, a lot of times when we're looking at it from an American perspective, it's how can this type of player help the United States men's national team? And that's what Greg Berhalter is certainly looking for. I think Greg Berhalter will want to see him in situations more where you're giving him opportunities in the box. That's the type of player he ultimately is. His speed, his hold-up play was fine. This is all fine and well. But the speed and his decision-making in getting in places, he doesn't want him out wide. Greg Berhalter, I don't think, wants him out wide. He wants him down the channels and getting behind the back four in the central areas. So this was all fine and well, but ultimately it's also about highlights. And when you have a highlight of a game for a guy who's up top, I love him. He's got the red hair, but if he doesn't show up in a lot of the highlights, scoring and leading to goals, that's a problem, but this is still early days. And at least they had the confidence to put him in a starting capacity. But I think he found out that starting is a very, very different proposition than coming in for a couple of minutes here or there.
Yeah, I think I'll take that road. I'm really pleased for him personally because he's worked very, very hard for the opportunity to get a start in the Bundesliga. And this is not an easy coach, Florian Kohfeldt, to please. Werder Bremen is famous for producing young players and giving them an opportunity, but you've got to prove yourself first in the second team and then on the training field before getting your chance to start for that fantastic club. And the fact that he's given him a start shows me that he's got tremendous confidence in this kid. And I know from around the club, I'm good friends with Mike Kruse, and he talks so highly about how hard he's worked for this chance. And Alexi's right. When you get given your opportunity, you've got to try and shine. There were a few glimpses there in that game, but I still think there's more to come from him, and he will get a lot more opportunity because he's proved himself already that he deserves more chances, and he will score more goals in the Bundesliga. So I'm proud of him.
How far away is he from being a regular starter, do you think?
Well, it's a great team to play in. Right now, they're a team that creates so many opportunities. They have had problems up top with injuries. But I think that when you've got a guy like Pizarro sitting on the bench that still gets minutes, that's who you've got to dislodge first and foremost. So getting an opportunity to start is great. But I want to see more from him coming off the bench, score more goals, more stats from him. But I think over time, maybe towards the start of next season, they'll be pushing him for a starting place. I think he's not far away.
All right, well, elsewhere this weekend, John Brooks and Fabian Johnson went head-to-head under the watchful eye of US men's national team manager Greg Berhalter as well. They must have been especially impressed with Brooks. Would you say, Ian, is that fair?
Oh, I mean, listen, I've been very impressed with John Brooks this campaign. What he's done to change Wolfsburg's fortunes has blown me away. He's actually making all the other players who were performing so poorly over the last couple of seasons, fighting relegation, better. He's involved, he's committed, he plays for the cause. I was always suspect about his transfer from Hertha Berlin to go to Wolfsburg. I thought maybe it was a money grab. But you understood, after he came back from injury, he had a point to prove. He's also got a point to prove for Greg Berhalter. He wants back in that national side, and this is the way to do it. He gets an assist for this header right here, and it's another stat that goes for his name. But Wolfsburg now up to 5th place in the table, and John Brooks is one of the reasons why.
Yes, he is one of the reasons why. But this is where it gets so interesting and at times dangerous to look at a player's form or where that player is playing and then to juxtapose it with what you want from the national team perspective, because it might be very, very different things. Greg Berhalter is looking at this player as a guy who's been around with the national team, but it's a whole new national team under Greg Berhalter. And the way that John Brooks plays, Greg Berhalter has to figure out not whether he's a good player. I think we can all agree that he's a good player or he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. Is he the right player for Greg Berhalter's system? Now, he likes to play with the ball coming out of the back. He's comfortable playing out of the back. He's got that nice left foot, which is always appealing. From a defensive standpoint, that's important. Set pieces, which are always going to be an important part of the U.S. men's national team. We saw he likes to get on the end of those, and that's a good quality. But ultimately, whether it's a Josh Sargent, whether it's a John Brooks, or whether it's anybody, to be quite honest, I think it's going to be interesting to see which players Greg Berhalter picks specifically because they are good in his system, as opposed to what we all feel is, all right, well, this is a good player, and now that player should be playing for the national team. It's not as simple as that.
Right.
Well, we told you that Berhalter was in the stadium for that one. Here were his thoughts after the game.
How would you describe the performance of your American guys here on the pitch, Brooks and Johnson?
Yeah, I think that, Fabian in the second half was getting more involved in the attack, getting forward much more aggressively, and that's what we like to see. I think Jonathan, was very stable and build up in the first half of the game, and in the second half they defended well in the penalty box, made it difficult for Gladbach to score.
Well, here's another look at all of the Americans in action on match day 23. Alfredo Morales on the winning side for Dusseldorf. Weston McKennie missed Schalke's loss to a Mainz due to a thigh injury. Haji Wright came on in the second half of that game. Christian Pulisic also remains out for Dortmund with a thigh injury right now. Next weekend, Tyler Adams and Leipzig will be back on FS1 as they take on Nuremberg. Also on Saturday, Schalke face Dusseldorf on Fox Soccer Plus, whilst Bayern visit Fabian Johnson and Gladbach on FS2. Then on Sunday, another All-American fair as John Brooks and Wolfsburg host Josh Sargent and Bremen. We will talk to you then. Until then, next time, auf Wiedersehen.
Cheers.
Cheers. Goodbye.